ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Namaskar my dear friends, this is the video on stories of Upanishads or Upanishadic stories. The topic of this story is the quest. This story is taken from Prasanopnishad of Atharvaveda, and the sage of this Upanishad is Piplada. The quest after the eternal has preoccupied the minds of men at all ages. The pattern of the problem may change, but the problem remains. Each age and every individual must solve it afresh, for it is only then the religion becomes a felt experience. That was the reason why in olden days the sages preferred to live away from crowded cities in the lone retreats of the forest hermitages, tapovanas, so that they may seek in nature the signature of nature's creator. By living in harmony with nature, they wished to be in tune with the infinite. It was to them that the seekers after truth went with customary offerings to have their problems solved. One may lead a disciplined life, be an earnest inquirer, and yet fail to arrive at a satisfactory solution. An assemblage of such seekers may fare no better. A group of 6 earnest seekers after truth, all of them earnest students of philosophy, gathered together only to find that each one of them had a special problem to solve and that none of the others could solve it for them. They decided by common consent to approach the sage Pipalada and have their problems solved. Perhaps they felt subconsciously that it was for want of a proper spiritual guide that they were unable to solve their problem. When they approached, says Pipalada, whose fame had spread far and wide, he asked them to stay with him for a year and to practice Brahmacharya. Afterwards, he agreed to answer if he was in a position to do whatever questions they wished to ask him. As man is himself he measurer of knowledge, the teacher wished that the instrument of measurement should be perfected. That was why he asked them to stay with him for a year and observe such sadhana as was conducive to sattva shuddhi. For his part, Pipalada was as modest as he was learned. That was why he added the conditional clause at the end. At the end of the year, when the appointed time came, Kabandi, the son of Kathya, who was one of the 6, approached Piplada and requested him to enlighten him on a problem of cosmology. He put it in the form of a question: what is the origin of life? Although the question had nothing to do with Brahmavidya directly, Piplada agreed to answer it. He had agreed to answer whatever question was put to him, and he also felt that it had an indirect bearings on the problem of karma in relation to upasana. The sage Pippalada knew that the Srishti Vakyas of the Vedas are meant to direct our attention towards Brahma, from whom all things come, and that apart from Brahma they have no meaning. He therefore told them that the whole of creation has emanated from the tapasya of Brahma. Then came successively Agni, Aditya, Prana, Chandra, and Anna. They were meant to be the custodians of creation or help in the growth and solidarity of life. To the Upaska, the sun is not a mere ball of fire, it is Vasunara fit to be adored as the manifest form of one without a second, the eye of all and the life of his from the point of view of the Upasaka. What is known as Vasanvara is also known as Hiranyagarbha or Karya Brahma, the absolute in relation to his creation. Therefore, whoever practices brahmacharya and tapasya, looking upon Aditya as the visible embodiment of the One and the Eternal, by virtue of that upasana, traverses the Devyana path, the path of light that leads one to the abode of the fearless and the immortal. He who realizes that we came from God, who is our home, goes back as a trailing cloud of glory to where the immortals are. Otherwise, one misses the significance of life, becomes earthbound, starts as a particle of matter, then becomes energy, and finally becomes life, only to go through the same treadmill round at every dead end dissolution. This is known as the Pitriyana, a chariot wheel revolving on its hub is an apt symbol of it. That's why said Pipalada's life is one great object should be the quest after the Supreme. Pipalada had by his answer given a direction to the discussion that was to follow. Whether be a descendant of Bhargu eagerly took up the clue that was offered to him. He had been told that what is manifest should be regarded as the symbol of the Absolute. Each aspect is from the Upasaka's point of view a deity. But there are so many aspects and apparently so many deities. His problem was who among them could claim primacy. He wished to know how many deities there are, how many of them are manifest in the human body, and who is the foremost of them. To Piplada, the question appeared almost childish, for Upasana is no more than the kindergarten stage of Jnana. All that is necessary for the Upasaka is to begin at the convenient and what is convenient is left for each man to decide. All that is necessary is whatever aspect he takes up, he should regard that as the supreme. Piplada, however, answered the question and added a story at the end of it in order to bring home his point of view. He said there are the five elements: earth, water, fire, air, and space. These elements are regarded as the presiding deities of the five organs of sense perception. Upasana should lead to integral knowledge. If it is fractional, the desired result cannot be attained. Listen to a story. At one time, there was a dispute between the senses as to their primacy. Each claimed to be the leader, and when its claim was not recognized, threatened to stage a walkout. But when it came to be the turn of the vital breath, it was impossible to resist its claim. They came to realize that it is the vital breath that functions in and through them all, for without it, their own existence was at stake. Thus, the senses came to recognize the vital breath as foremost among them. Hence, the senses prayed to the vital breath and said, "You produce heat as Agni, manifest yourself as Aditya, protect us as Indra, sustain us as Earth, and preserve us as Chandramas. You are all in all." Piplada concluded by saying that Upasana is of value to us only insofar as it leads to integral knowledge, Samyak Jnana. Two problems had been set at rest. It was now the turn of Kausalya, a descendant of Aswalyana, to put a question to the spiritual preceptor. He wished to be enlightened on the various problems connected with Pranopashna. "Revered sir," he said, "will you have the goodness to let me know whence it is that the vital breath originates and the manner of its entrance into the body, as well as how it divides itself into its five components parts and to what place it goes? How does it contain within itself all objects, both external and internal to it?" Piplada was extremely pleased with a disciple who could raise so many intricate problems. He also felt that to be able to question properly is itself a halfway house to knowledge. Piplada then explained to him the beginning, middle, and end of prana in relation to Brahma. The term prana means the vital breath. He said, "This glorious vital breath evolves out of the Supreme Self and it is entirely dependent upon Him for it. In relation to Brahma, it is like the shadow to the substance. Why it should enter a particular physical body depends upon its past achievements and future plans upon karma and sankalpa. The vital breath, the mukhya prana, carries its subtle body with it. The heart is the abode. From there it permeates the entire body and is known under different names according to the function it discharges. Finally, at dissolution, it sends sinners to suffer the consequences of their deeds and the virtuous to gain such reward as falls to their share. What is essential is that the Jiva should know prana as the shadow of Brahma and worship Brahma by means of pranopasana. Such a person lives in Burma and his line never comes to an end. Kausalya of Aswalyana Gotra felt satisfied, for he was on the threshold of the knowledge of Brahma. The problems posed so far had only an indirect bearing on Brahmavidya. We may relegate them to the category of Aparavidya, which formed, as it were, the outer shell of knowledge. It was left to the next three inquiring spirits to come to the kernel, therefore, the concept of a Brahma in itself. It was now the turn of Gargaya Suryayani to avail himself of the opportunity to have his problems solved and to proceed in a spiritual sense from darkness to light. He raised a metaphysical problem which is peculiar to Indian philosophy. Ordinarily speaking, we see the various levels of consciousness. He wished to know who it is that experiences these levels of consciousness. This is a problem that every seeker after truth encounters. Perhaps Piplada had answered the same question to previous seekers after truth, who had come to him to know the nature of Aksara Purusha. Piplada illumined the problem in his characteristic way. He said, during the waking stage, we think waking alone is real. During a dream, the dream alone appears to be real. And during deep sleep, there seems to be nothing else. If we reduce all these levels of consciousness to their least common factor, we find that the experiencing self alone is real. Waking goes away, dream goes away, sleep goes away, but the self alone remains and knows that it has slept or dreamt or is awake. Each stage is of value to us. The dream world is of value to us because it shows us how a whole world of reality can be a mere projection of the mind and be withdrawn into the mind. The sleep consciousness is of value to us because it is in a sense the home coming of the spirit, a withdrawal and merging into that from which it comes. Although in sleep one is aware of nothing, yet one emerges from it with the consciousness I slept well. Waking is of value to us because it is here that we should know the nature of that I. We would then realize that it is the residuary value of life. It is only that which gives value to the other levels of consciousness. It is like the sun whose light reveals objects. Suppose there are no objects for the sun to shine upon, even then the sun will continue to shine. It is the same with the self also. Levels of consciousness may come and may go, but the self goes on forever. That is why, taken in itself, it is called the Turiya or the fourth level of consciousness. It is, if you chose to call it, the transcendent. In reality, it is the Aksara Purusha, Brahma, who is the true seer, actor, knower, the undecaying eternal self. That alone is all pervading. On hearing what the preceptor had to say, Gargya felt happy as if he had acquired a kingdom of knowledge. Saibaya was a pragmatic idealist. He wished to know the use of everything, even though it be the knowledge of the Supreme. He asked his revered sir, Saibaya was a pragmatic idealist. He wished to know the use of everything, even though it be the knowledge of the Supreme. He asked, revered sir, Apart from these three stages of consciousness, such as waking, dreaming, and deep sleep, there is another stage after death. What is it that awaits him who meditates on Om as the sound symbol of the Absolute? When at death the body returns to the elements? Piplada knew that if Brahma is life supreme value, it follows that it is by its presence that all else assumes value. With it they have value, and without it they are nothing. He therefore said that the symbol Om stands for Brahma, both in a relative sense in relation to the world of manifestation, and in an absolute sense in relation to that which has beyond what is the individual, what the individual regards as either here or hereafterward. From the standpoint of the absolute, both of them belong to the world of manifestation and therefore belong to the world of relative values. Let us take the sound symbol Om. Suppose that the initial letter A stands for the sum total of all the good things of life here, and similarly the middle letter U stands for the good things in the hereafter. The two put together will not form Om. The sum total of the relative values will not give us Brahma. The immanent does not exhaust the possibilities of the transcendent. The pragmatist who meditates on Brahma and observes all through life the cardinal values of truth, brahmacharya, ahimsa, aparigraha, and sannyasa will naturally have all the good things of life here and hereafter. Whoever is satisfied with them will naturally have to come back to the world of relative values. That's why it is necessary to know Brahma in its unconditioned aspect, as otherwise one's upasana will not be complete. To such a person there is neither coming nor going. He is always established in that which is. At last came the turn of Sukesa, a descendant of the line of Bhardwaja. It was because of the fame of his ancestor and also because the knowledge of the Absolute was supposed to be traditional in certain families that a prince of Kosala at one time came to him and asked him to enlighten him on the Purusha with 16 adjuncts or kalas. Sukesa said that he did not know, but the prince thought that he was feigning ignorance. But when the prince heard him ever that he was really in the dark about it, he went away sad and disappointed. Ever since that time, it had remained a problem with him, and he requested Piplada to shed light upon it. This story incidentally throws light upon the fact that the pursuit of perfection was the common concern of both kings and philosophers. Piplada replied, that very Purusha from whom the 16 component parts owe their origin exist in the cavity of the heart. He then gave him a list of those 16 kalas, including in it the various aspects of the environment around us, its subtler forms in us, and the interaction between the two as made manifest either in the field of action or of knowledge. He said further that all those kalas are meant to direct our attention to the Purusha, apart from whom they have no independent existence of their own. They are like the various rivers that flow into the mighty ocean and afterwards lose their identity and their name. That's why the Purusha is all pervading and is the eternal witness. Piplada said to them by way of conclusion that he had informed them all that he knew and added that there is nothing more to be known. The quest was all well worth undertaking. The six seekers after truth rendered thanks to Piplada, their spiritual guide, offered him their salutation and returned home blessed beyond measure. Thank you. This video comes to an end. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, comment and share the video. Subscribe the channel. Thanks a lot. Namaskar, my dear friends.